Hello, good morning everyone. Nice to see everyone. If you're going to say hello, we have Dinah in the chat today. And as you can see, I'm not Cliff. So I'll be taking today's class. I'm Basti. If this is your first time, feel free to say hello and say where you're from if you'd like. We are going to run another of our lovely Wednesday class for health and benefit and all these lovely things. And we've been running it recently on the earth element, which has a lot to do with being grounded and being comfortable in our bodies, for instance, and the flesh of our bodies, and staying nourished and nurtured. And this may be one of our last earth element classes. But we have one of the most fantastic points as our point of the week. We'll come back to that in a bit. So there's lots of lovely people saying hello. So hello, everyone. Yeah, so I guess let's just carry on with the class. So as usual, I would like to run a poll before getting started with even the scanning through. And then when we've done a scan through, we will run another couple of polls and then we'll get started. So first poll, how are you coping? Are you coping well? If you're okay, about neutral, and a bit stressed, or you're very stressed. So here we go. So most people are saying I'm okay. That's really good to hear. Quite a few people are coping well, some people are very neutral, a few stressed, and a few of you, or one answer so far is very stressed. Sorry to hear that. Let us see what we shall see from this class. Okay, so let me just take this back. Okay, here we go. So we are going to, sorry about this, it's my first time clicking all the buttons myself as well. Diddly diddly do, get down to here. We're now going to do our scan of ourselves. I'm going to go and stand up, but you may want a piece of paper and pen. And then we can have a little bit of a sketch out of your scan and the 3 burning spaces. And I'll come back to that. If you're new and you haven't heard of the 3 burning spaces, then I'll explain that in a moment. Okay, so let's stand up. And find yourself standing comfortably, however is right for you. I like my feet about shoulder width apart. And bring your attention to the top of your head. And just start to allow your attention to kind of gently scan down. Notice how your head is feeling inside and out, the face, back of the head and sides, coming through your neck and your throat inside, and the bones in the neck at the back. Not having to do anything with it, just noticing how it's feeling as you scan down through your shoulder girdle, front and back. What's it like? And then go down the arms. So just let your attention, your mind, your awareness slide down your arms through the elbows, the forearms, wrists and hands. Fingers, what's all of that like? Bring your attention back up, shoulder girdle, and then go through the chest. And from the top of the chest down to the diaphragm, which is the sort of mid to lower ribs. This is your upper burner. And this is a space where it's called a burner or a heater. Energy is, you could say, produced. The lungs draw in energy from the air around us. So this is sort of like one level of where we allow energy, Qi, to be within us and to be working. So what's your chest space like? Inside, front and back and around the sides. Okay, and then bring your attention through your diaphragm. How's the diaphragm feeling? And into the middle of your body. So diaphragm down to belly button sort of area. And this is where you've got your stomach and spleen and your liver and gallbladder. So stomach and spleen is on this side, and your pancreas. Liver and gallbladder on this side. Have a lot to do with the digestion and the movement within the body. And just notice how this middle area is feeling. What's that like? Front and back, sides and inside. And just notice, is it feeling any different to how the chest is feeling? So maybe just come up a second again. Chest. What's that like? Middle burner. What's that like? Any difference? And then move down to the lower burner. And this is from the belly button down to the sort of pubis, the pubic bone here. And this is where you have your intestines and your kidneys and bladder. And so it's the sort of lower part of the three burning spaces. So we get energy in from the air here, we get energy in from food here, and we get energy in through the kidneys from our parents. You could almost say, in a funny way, our genetics, ancestral energy. But what we're really interested is just how is it feeling in you right now? So we were aware of the chest and the upper burner, aware of the belly and the middle burner. Now we want to be aware of the lower belly and the lower burner. What's that like? Just get a sense of it. And then carry on scanning down through the hips and the legs. How are your knees today? Calf muscles, shins, down to your ankles and your feet, feeling the ground. And then one last thing, get a whole sense of yourself, just standing here. How am I feeling today? Maybe you get a picture, maybe you get some words, colours, something metaphorical, however. Okay. So this is what we're going to start with. Let's go and do a little bit of a picture. Don't need to spend long, but just get a sense of something. Now if you want to, you can just do 3 spaces like this, or you could do like a whole picture. Just something is quite handy so you can refer back to it. My upper burning space was a bit kind of floaty and a bit light. Middle burner, definitely more settled and kind of coming inwards a bit. Lower burner was a little bit, not quite sure how to describe that with words. That's what I've got. And I would like to run a poll now to ask you, which burner would you like to work on most today? Your lower burner, the middle burner, or the upper burner? Okay, answers are coming in. Thank you very much, bringing the answers in. Keep them coming if you haven't already run the poll. So most people, oh no, cool, it's changing. It's really interesting how much it changes. It starts to look like one thing and then another takes over. So at the moment, the upper burner is just kind of needing a little bit more by most people, but it's pretty even, upper burner and lower burner. and not so many people asking for the middle bladder to be worked on, but some of you are. Now, of course, we're going to work on all of them. It's fairly even, but upper and lower are the most needed. So we'll definitely focus on that a bit more. I am also going to get us to, sorry, just needing to find the right poll. There. I'll come back to that in a second. I would like us to just get a sense of how we're feeling in terms of kind of like connection or energy in ourselves. How, and Cliff has done this before with you, how much we're feeling like a bit up here or a bit down here. And this is a sense of maybe there's a heaviness and like a bit sort of weighted down by things, or a bit foggy in the mind, or like a bit sort of all up here and a bit sort of top heavy and energy's moving upwards, and I'm sure you get the picture. So just take a moment, really very brief, to just again bring your attention inside and just notice how overall is your energy feeling. Do you feel a bit more up? Do you feel a bit more down? Do you feel a bit more light, a bit more heavy? Do you feel a bit ungrounded? Do you feel a bit uninspired? What's the sort of more up or more down? Just noticing, not having to do anything with it. I'm fairly balanced myself, but I think I feel a bit more of that heaviness downwards. And I'm going to ask you with a poll, if you're happy to just come and share again. Is your energy too up or down or about right? Are you very ungrounded? Just a little bit ungrounded. About balanced? No, look at this, everyone's pretty balanced today. There's a little bit heavy and too grounded, a little bit ungrounded. No one seems to be going into the extremes. Thank you. That is great. I don't mean thank you as in that makes things easier for me. I mean like thankfully. That's a nice thing. No one is in extremis. Okay, cool. That's enough of that. Let's get on with the class. So, as I like to start most classes, let's just take a moment to be all together energetically in the class. So, standing on the ground, bring your attention inside of yourself. We've gone through a scan, we've gone through a sense of our 3 burning spaces and the energetic feeling inside of us. Now get a sense of the whole group of this people in this class, whether it's happening as this runs live or whether it's people connecting in later. It's still the same moment, which is this moment now. And imagine that class, that circle of people going all the way around, lots of people all the way around. And just have a moment of appreciating this class and this circle of people as it's been created. Not by any one person, but by all of us being involved. It's a nice thing. Okay, what a great class feeling. Thank you very much. So, now we're going to get started with, first of all, getting a sense of this connection up and down. So we're not too much like this and we're not too much like that, but a bit more balanced in the middle. So, feet about hip to shoulder width apart, vaguely facing forwards. And have a little bit of a relaxed feeling. I'll turn this way just to show you. So your legs aren't locked straight, but a little bit of soft in the ankles, knees and hips. So it's almost like you're getting ready to sit down. You notice that? As if I'm just about to sit down on a chair. And just allow a bit of softness in the front of the hips and your pelvis to just kind of relax. And allow your shoulders to relax. And allow your head to just gently float up. Connect up with the heavens, as if on a thread from the crown of your head. Feel your spine just gently relax, hanging down. Shoulders relaxed away from the midline. Pelvis sinking towards the ground, your belly, your hara, your center, in a sort of central space. Feel the ground below you and just go, there's the solid ground. There's that stable base, and appreciate it for a moment. And appreciating that solid, stable base below you, you feel a sense of grounding. And almost like a plant has water that naturally draws up, or a mountain naturally has water that draws up inside of it. Just allow that same feeling of grounding, of the earth, to naturally draw up inside of you. It's not pushing up, it just naturally draws up. And allow that to move out through the belly, through the middle, through the upper part of the body. And then this sense of the connection from above. And above is open and spacious, and light and air moves. And so have this sense of openness and spaciousness and lightness, and have that coming through from above. Enjoy it. It is a nice thing. Not to be too in awe, not to be overexcited, just enjoy it. All the way through, all the way through. And find your place where you need to, of a bit more of this, or a bit more of this, So at any point during this class, you can kind of move yourself in between this and this. Okay. Now we want to stabilize the lower burner. So we're going to start off by just holding the lower part of the belly. So my belly button is here, so we're holding just below. And if you can reach round happily, then hold the lower back as well, just onto the edge of the sacrum. And just have a sense of that space inside. You can move it about a bit if you want to, and then start to rub your hand round this lower belly space. And it's like sending warmth, sending a bit of movement and energy into your lower burner. Remembering this feeling of stability and grounding coming from below. And if you remember kidney 1 in the sole of the foot, have a sense of that softening and opening, connecting with the ground. And that just feeds into this lower burner. And if you need a bit more energy in the lower burner, then just have that sense of the crown of your head opening, connection with the space and the light, and let that come down and settle in as you circle your hand round, so that it inspires the energy of your lower burner. You're allowing these things to happen. Sinking warmth, sinking appreciation and Qi into your lower burner, into this lovely space just between your belly button and the top of your pelvis. Okay, we can start to use breath. You let your hands settle. If that's uncomfortable around the back, you can have both hands on the front. And when you breathe in, imagine that it's almost like you're breathing in and going right through to the back. You're pouring breath and energy in through your hands almost. Let it rest in the lower part of the body. Breathe out what you don't need. So breathing in, pouring it into the lower belly. Breathe out what you don't need. Let it rest into the lower belly, into that lower burner. Breathe out what you don't need. Now here's a different way of doing that to get a similar feeling. Let your breathing be completely normal. But bring your attention down to your feet and the lower legs. And imagine that when you breathe, these are like soft, open things, a bit like the lungs. And as you breathe, this fills up and expands. Breath comes in through the feet and then breathes back down and out again. So just have this idea of your attention and your awareness being down in the feet, the lower legs, the hips, and the belly. And breathe in through the feet. So when you're ready, give it a go. And breathe back down and out. Still got a sense of connection above and below. Find your center. Breathe in through the feet. Relax and breathe down and out. Breathing in through the feet. Let it settle in the lower belly. Breathe out what you don't need. So there we go. There's another way of playing with that. And there's an old saying, the fool breathes with the chest, the wise breathe with their belly, but the sage breathes with their feet. So have a go with breathing with your feet. Okay, so we've done a bit of rubbing and a bit of breathing to drawing and a bit of playing with the feet. But we're going to have a go with the kidney channel and the kidney Qi, because that is really what is the foundation of this lower burner area. So kidney channel we've done before, like the inside towards the back of the inside of the leg. So just going to tap down and go to the inside of the foot, and then we'll do the proper underside of the foot in a moment. Just for the moment, tapping down, tapping down, the other side. It helps if you turn your foot out, and then you can kind of not just inside, but slightly towards the back of the leg. Tapping down towards the inside of the foot. And this is waking up and helping to open the channel for the kidney Qi to flow. Okay, and we can do a little bit on the actual kidneys, across the sacrum and the bum. And if you can't reach the back, then just go below the buttocks into the lower leg, and just do the back of the leg in general. As much as you can reach, as much as you're happy to do. Okay, that's the legs slightly opened up. We've just did a bit of the bladder channel there. Just notice how that's feeling. And come back to that sense of your energy. Is it like down, or is it up? Can you find your sort of placement of connection from above and connection from below? Can you balance that? Yeah, there we go. Starting to get a sense of like, how much do I need to come up? How much do I need to sink down? Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of squeezing on the feet. So I've already prepared, I don't have to take off a sock. So get into this area in here. It's kidney 1, and it's 1/3 of the way down the entire foot. You'll see. I'm trying to make like there's a third and a third and a third. And I mean, it don't have to be really precise. It's a great big, huge point. It's pretty much the sole of the foot behind the ball of the foot. And just really work in there. Oh, my foot is clicking. It's great. And just get right into that space under the foot. And you can kind of also find some other areas, just scrunching. This is a real yin aspect of the foot. We've gone over kidney 1 so many times, but just remember that this is the most yin aspect of the body because it's covered, it's on the floor the entire time, it's downwards, away from the sun. And for instance, nighttime is the most yin experience and yin time of the day. So if you have any difficulties with sleep, play with the sole of your foot at night to get the yin aspect of you in the same role as the yin aspect of the day. Things like that's the sort of way of looking at it. So squeezing around the foot, especially the sole of the foot. And why not just give the whole foot a bit of a kind of a wibble wobble, a bit of a massage whilst we're there. Pull a few toes about. There we go. And then the other foot. So that's that ball of the foot is there, and we're going in just underneath. So I lift my foot up again so you can see it. I'm just scrunching into that ball of the foot. Sometimes you might find other places that feel they really need to be scrunched and played about with. Okay, move the foot about. Maybe pull a few toes here and there. Maybe do this whole business. And you're feeling you're going into kidney 1. I'm using a loose fist. And it's not a tight fist. It's almost like space for a sparrow's egg. Just like underneath the armpit when we're standing like this. And the other foot, because I didn't do this before. Okay. And this just really opens up the sole of the foot, opens up kidney 1. So let's just, when you're ready, stand up again. And just noticing now that feeling of the feet on the ground, the feeling of the energy through the legs, the feeling in the lower burner. What's that like now? I mean, that's kind of got my breath going a bit more as well. Pardon me, clearly it's got my digestion going. Woo, there we go. Okay. So we've got a bit of energy built up in the lower burner. We're now going to move to the middle burner. So that the lower burner really underpins everything. The middle burner, we want to have not necessarily fullness, but we like to be nourished. And that's the earth element. The other element that works with the lower burner is the wood element, and that likes freedom of movement. Smooth, free-flowing qi and blood. The stomach and spleen side of it is the nourishing of the blood and the qi, more so, and tonifying qi. So we'll come back to that in a moment. First of all, we're going to start off with a little bit of freedom of movement from the middle burner. So again, have your feet about shoulder width apart. And let your ankles, your knees, your hips be nice and soft. And we're going to try and keep our feet and our knees kind of in line with each other. Knees over the top of the feet. Remember, not locked, just relaxed. And we're going to do some turning. And we're turning as if we're turning on a central sort of line. So this line that we had of when we connect with the heavens and we connect with the earth, and it's like, oh, we're just in that central space. And it's like a center that we can just relax. We can relax in. We can kind of let go in. And we can let everything else that is the rest of us just kind of revolve around this. Now what helps is if we allow our knees to stay straight over the feet. So we're not letting our knees do this. And you'll notice by feeling, without having to look down, oh, are my knees going all over the place? If your feet are starting to come up when you turn, then you know that you're allowing your knees to pull out. If your knees stay straight, your feet don't go anywhere. And it's more the hips. The hips are softening and turning. And so the movement comes from the hips. So it's almost like the ground starts here. And let your hips turn. And just let your hands and arms flop about. Now, you may feel like you just want to have a gentle movement that allows a sort of nice sort of movement around the middle of you. However, some of you may be a bit tight and feel like you want to really release and let something go, in which case, I'm going to move away from the wall for this, in which case you can make the movement a little bit bigger and really let your arms swing out and slap back into yourself. And if you really want to encourage a release, then you can breathe out when you land your arms. Now, if this is too much, then let the turn from the hips become a lot softer and focus more on that smooth, more nourishing, flowing movement. And focus more on the legs and the stability and the hips being soft in their turn. If you're wanting more of the release, then still keep a nice steadiness from the legs, but allow the freedom to be in that twist of the body. And when Shakura ran this class, she said it in a really lovely way. The spine becomes like a wet towel, and you're just twisting the towel up and letting it go. Twisting it up and letting it go. Oh yeah, it's almost like you're squeezing the water out of the towel. Okay, and then we're going to let the arms start to relax, let the hips relax, keeping in our center line until we're just coming back to that center. Really settle into that center. Really settle into the feeling of the feet on the ground. And that openness and the fluid movement we just created from feeling the openness from above moving through. And let that settle into the middle of your body. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of tapping down the legs, specifically along down the front of the legs. If you were to imagine the kneecap, I'm going to get a little bit closer so you can see. You can't see hugely, but this is my kneecap, okay? So imagine that you're just running like two lines, and they're either side of the kneecap and then either side of the shin bone. So the first one, we're going down the just outside outer edge of that train line, and then coming up just on the inner edge of that train line. That makes sense? So the outer line that runs down is the stomach. We've done this plenty before. Onto top of the feet, and then inside of the feet, just on the inside of the shin bone, inner aspect of the kneecap and the front of the thigh, into the belly. And then down the front of the thigh, outer aspect of the kneecap, outer aspect of the shin bone, top of the foot, inside of the foot, And we're waking up the stomach and the spleen chi here. Into the belly. Belly, belly, belly. Maybe you've had breakfast, maybe you haven't. So this can help digestion. This can also help a feeling of just being more nurtured, which is sort of nourished in a more emotional way. This can also help to stroke down and back up again. There we go. Maybe just a little bit of a shake and a wobble. So this can help with actual digestion, help with a feeling of being more grounded, and that sort of sense, as I was saying, with feeling more kind of nurtured, which is kind of like being nourished in a more of an emotional sense. And being also, because you're feeling more grounded and more nourished and nurtured and your digestion is active, then your mind becomes clearer and you're not having to overthink things too much. Just become a bit clearer. So that's some of the benefits of this. There was a particular point of the week that we're going to go over, and it is one of the most fantastic points. So, like, if you know and remember any points from this whole year's endeavour, this is one of the ones to really remember. And we went over it already. Now, I'm going to come over because I want to show you on my leg, but I also want to show you a slide. The point we have is stomach 36. Zusani, leg 3 miles. And it has the name leg 3 miles for a couple of different reasons, depending on which story you want to go by. One of the stories as to why it's called leg 3 miles, or not stories, but one of the reasons is that the armies would be marching for long, stretches, and for them to be able to go that extra mile, we would say in the West, or for them to be able to go the extra 3 or few miles, they would go in. They would do this tapping or massaging or needles if they had access to acupuncturists and needles themselves in this point. And it would, as it says there, tonify the qi and the blood. So tonify, if you think to tone, like toning muscles, then this strengthens. It tones up the qi and the blood, and it is the most tonifying point in the entire body. And that's really saying something. It harmonizes the stomach and the spleen. So if we have pretty much any sort of imbalance with our stomach and spleen, like I was saying, that could be physically digestion, the feeling of the flesh in the body, the feeling of being a bit ungrounded, or maybe some kind of emotional nurturing and nourishment. Maybe it's unclear mind. All of these different levels. This can bring a little bit of harmony to this quality within us, and strengthens the body quite clearly. It actually gets the stomach really breaking down foods, helps the spleen to extract all of that good qi from the food and spread it all the way out across the 4 limbs, and helps that sort of the body feeling supported and strengthened. Okay, now someone asked a while back, where is gallbladder 34 in relation to stomach 36? And here on the picture you can see quite clearly that there's a gallbladder point we did before, and it's slightly further around to the side, slightly higher up, and it's more where you feel a tendon. And gallbladder and liver have much more of a tendon-like feeling when you contact them. And stomach and spleen have much more of a fleshy feeling. And as we have said, the liver and gallbladder, they govern the tendons and the sinews of the body, whereas the stomach and spleen really governs the flesh, the muscle, fleshiness of our body. And so that's why it's much more of a soft, squidgy muscle kind of feeling compared to a more tendon feeling. And you can see in the picture it's a bit further over to the side as well. Now, I'm going to drop this down so you can really see. No, wait, how do I get rid of this slide? Like that. There we go. So here's my leg. Here's the kneecap. You can kind of see a bit more of the bony kind of like aspect. So we're going to come down the outside, and my shin bone is here. And what you have, with some people it's really obvious, you have this bony outcrop on the shin below the kneecap. So here's the kneecap. Here's a bony outcrop on the shin called I believe it's called the anterior tibial crest. But it's a lump of bone on the front of your shin. And you're kind of like either level with the prominence or just below the prominence of your tibial crest. And it's in the muscle to the side of it. This is another one of those points where the whole area here is just like, that's all accessible stomach 36. You don't have to be really precise about this. So let us squeeze in. Now, it's quite a firm muscle, and it can be quite an odd thing to get in contact with sometimes. So, for instance, let's do a couple of different ways of contacting it and see what it's like. So feel down from the kneecap, find the bit of bone, and then the muscle that starts, and try to sort of, and you might just be having to squeeze at first. Where is this muscle? Squeezing with the hand. And just get into that top of the muscle. And maybe, okay, so it can feel a bit tender. It does for me today. And so then you can get the other hand on top and you let the sort of weight of your arms relax, and it just sinks in a bit more. And then you're not having to use force to squeeze. So there's one way of working it. Using the weight, sinking in. Sinking in. Oh, lovely. Oh, such a nice point. Now, I didn't explain the other way that the point is named leg 3 mile. I explained about the armies crossing with their marches and working the point. The other explanation is that when the villages wanted to message another village or a nearby town, they would often use one of the children, young, vibrant, healthy kid in the village, to become like the messenger. And so this messenger kid would like grab a load of messages, put it in a rucksack type thing, and just run from one village to another to pass on the messages. And then any messages that were coming back, they'd run back to the village they came from. Now, it might be that they need to stop on the way because they're going to be pretty tired. And so they would massage this area, especially if the message needed to be got there quickly. Okay, so this is one way we can work it. It's sinking, sinking. And it's that relaxing of the shoulders and the arms that allows Qi to flow more freely through our arms. And the weight of the hands then become like a sinking into the point. Jenny, you said, so good, I can feel my mind clearing. That's grand, that's grand. It's becoming a little less tender for me, I can say. So there's one way we can work it. Now let's go to the other leg. So again, kneecap. And then we've got the shin bone, and then we've got the muscle in the outside of the shin bone. So another way to find it is, here you can see my kneecap a bit more obviously. You can do this from the lower border and lower corner of the patella of the kneecap. Alex, it's excruciatingly good. Yeah, it's pretty sore sometimes. Two sun, 2 thumbs width down, and then into the muscle below that corner. That's another way of finding it. And sorry, turn the right way. A great way is just doing a loose fist do-in. And do this from the corner of your kneecap. Find the edge of the bone and just go down, sort of like, a few taps down. And notice, does it feel any different from when you were sinking in, when you were sinking in with the feeling of finding it with your fingers and then letting the arms relax and sink in? Tapping it down like this. What's different about the feeling of working the point? Maybe there's no difference for you. Maybe there's a little bit of difference. Maybe it's wildly different. I mean, for me it feels different because it's more of a whacking it than a squeezing it. And that's more like a waking up than a sinking in. But in a sense, the tenderness that is in there is kind of similar. It's also still tender on this side. Okay, I'm starting to tie my arm, so I need to let go of that a bit. So how's that feeling now? Oh, God. So Bobby, is that Bobby? Yeah, Bobby, you're saying very tender, but you can feel it moving into your foot. Nice. Yeah. Be interesting to see exactly where into your foot that goes, because the channel does go down to a particular toe. It goes down to, the toe next to, which toe is it? Hang on, where's my foot? The toe next to your big toe. And Kim, can it be helping my ears to clear? That's a really good question. Yes, in some ways, directly or indirectly. It tonifies the whole body, Dinah is saying, so meridians that relate to ear will also benefit. And because when we have phlegm and damp and cloggy upness, that tends to come from the qi of our stomach and spleen not being so clear. It might take a little bit longer to clear phlegm and damp by working these sorts of points. But maybe also it's helping to just shift a bit of the damp around because things are getting moving. So maybe. It's fantastic though. This is the thing, the wonderful thing is we work any of these qualities of qi, it will have a knock-on effect with the rest of our body and the rest of our system. Now, let's just have a stand up and notice how that is now feeling through the legs. Ooh, my digestion just made a lovely gurgly sound. And we worked the lower burner before. Now we've worked the middle burner. How's that feeling now? A brief kind of moment of going, oh, how was it before? How is it now? Nice. Oh, pardon me. So now we want to move through to our upper burner. And pardon me, I'm terribly sorry everyone. Whenever I get into my alignment, it always makes me burp. Now, the upper burner, like I said, when we breathe in, it draws qi in from the air. And any energy that has come up from the lower and the middle burner that comes up, it mixes together and this merges in our heart to become our blood. So we've tonified with stomach 36 a lot of the qi as well as some of our blood, and it's helped to strengthen the stomach function of taking in the qi from the food. So some of this food qi will rise up and this will form with qi that we're breathing in from above and some of the general fluids and all that kind of jazz to make blood. And that will be in our heart. So let's do some heart work. We know these lovely stretches we've done lots of times if you've been here before. So we're going to bring our hands forwards, like this, almost like we're going to dive. And stretch forwards, breathing in. And when you breathe out, and this opens up the chest, fingers pointing backwards. Okay, and bring your hands forwards nice and slowly. You don't want to pull anything too hard. Feel the back open as you stretch. As you breathe out, feel the front of the chest start to open. Just allowing that opening to stretch down the middle of the arms. Fingers pointing backwards. And one more time. Oh, like I said, don't overdo it. Just keep it nice and relaxed. And let that shake off. And this stretches the actual chest and the middle of the arms down to our middle finger. And we've done before the heart protector, which is part of the fire element, and that really helps the governing of the heart. So it's nice to do that first before going into a heart stretch, because the heart is thought of, it's an incredibly beautiful and powerful energy, but it's also in classic Chinese thought, it's almost thought of as the emperor, which is like a divine being in human form. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes around the emperor to, in a sense, protect it, you know? We don't want to freak out divinity because it's such a precious thing. There's sort of the idea. That's a bit of a silly way of putting it, but it's kind of like in a nutshell. So we've done the heart protector. Now we're going to do the heart stretch, and this goes over the top like this. I'll stand as far back as I can. So if you can, have a bit more of an idea of your little fingers pressed together. Come in here, lift the hands above your head. If you can take, depending on how your shoulders are, if you can take your hands behind your head, almost as if you're going to dive backwards, but don't do that. Hands behind your head if you can, if not, just above your head, breathing in, and then as you breathe out, open the elbows outwards, as well as a little gentle push of your little fingers behind you. And let them relax down again. If that's too much for your shoulders, bring your hands in front of you and lift your elbows up and push your hands outwards. Again, emphasis on the little fingers. So if this is too much for your shoulders, do it like that. Okay. So breathing in and breathing out. Relax the shoulders, point the little fingers. Okay, and relax down. And one more, I'll do it in front of me as well. So breathing in. Emphasis on the little fingers. Let the elbows raise outwards. You feel the stretch in the underside of the arms. Okay. And shake the arms off. So doing more breath work stretches because upper body, lungs. And so the last breath work we will do is, of course, the lungs, the upper burner opening. And we've done this before. Thumbs and fingers, as if you were pointing. So we're going to breathe in, raising hands up, and then, so if I just squat down so you can see, you don't have to do this. I'm just doing this so you can see my arms. We're just allowing the thumbs to point backwards a bit and the fingers to be kind of pointing up towards the corners. And that's where you breathe out. So breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in breathing out. And if you're going to do any kind of tipping backwards, which you don't have to, just letting your thumbs point backwards is enough. If you really want to get a good big stretch out of it, tip your tailbone forwards so that you're kind of supporting with your legs a bit more of a tipping back of the upper body. Just if you want to go for it. So, breathing in, point the thumbs behind you and breathe out. And now, just to really help the lungs out, I want you to yawn and just stretch up or out or forward. It's technically still morning, and never underestimate a good yawn or a good sigh. So if you can't have a yawn going, then just feel your diaphragm in your lungs. Take a breath in and sigh. Get a sense of that connection from above, that connection from below. Where's your balance point? Okay, yawn or sigh with a bit of arm movement. Whatever's right for you, I want you to do yours. So I'm going to yawn. Kind of a yawn and a sigh together, that one. A yai. Okay, and one more. Sigh or yawn. Nice, big, just feel it in your body. Maybe a little bit of a shake. Shake the shoulders. Let the arms jiggle up and down. You can open them out a bit if you want to, so you feel that opens the channel of the lung and the large intestine meridian a bit more. And you're just shaking those off. And we've pretty much done all the other burners, so you can start to shake the whole body out a little bit. Shake the legs a little bit. Just any old way that feels all right for you. Don't overdo it unless you really feel that you need to kind of like, I really need to shake everything out. Maybe you just need to do a little bit. Just a little bit. And then come back to standing. Notice how you're feeling. Notice the upper burner. We've just worked on it. How is that compared to how it was before? And the middle burner. How's that feeling now? With the connection more from the upper burner to the middle burner, and then from the middle burner to the lower burner. How's that feeling now? More of a sense of a connection all the way through. And with that connection all the way through, smile. Smiling is a wonderful thing, and it connects the nerves from our face through into our body via the heart, through the guts. This is the vagus nerve or the vagal nerve, and has much more of a connection with feeling in a sort of modern way of thinking. Feeling. Smile your way into feeling well. And have that sense of a connection from above and the connection with that stable ground from below. Notice, is your energy still low? Is your energy still up? Or is it somewhere in between? Can you get more of a sense of which one you need a bit more of? Find your balanced ground within you. Rest in your center. No particular place is your center, except for it being your center. So just rest well in your center, your balance point. And just have another sense of that class, the whole group of us, all of us in this moment now, and how wonderful it is to have a class like this for us at the moment, as there is only this moment. So thank you all for being here. I know we've probably started to go over time, but I would just very briefly like to run one last poll that normally I forget because I get to this point and go, oh, I've run over time. But how do you feel now? Do you feel more balanced, about the same, or less balanced? This can happen. And that is lovely to see. Most of you are feeling more balanced. Someone has said about the same, and that is absolutely fine. May you be blessed for the rest of your day in however the same is for you. Lots of love with all of you. Enjoy the rest of your day. I believe Cliff will be back next time on Wednesday. And for those of you who know, we've been running the Shiatsu Summer School on a Tuesday webinar. And the next one coming up, there was one that happened last night, of course. And there's one happening next Tuesday, and it looks like it's going to be a really interesting one. So next week, you have a Tuesday evening and a Wednesday morning. So much to look forward to. Goodbye and cheerio. Now I have to work out how to get out of this. This is going to take me a moment, everyone, so feel free to just leave the class if needs be. Here we go. End the session. Goodbye.